is not helping any situation. When you attack or criticize anything that affects your male hetero privilege for specifically white people, that's why they attack critical race theory, queer history. They don't want people, especially children, to learn anything that isn't sterile, white, hetero information. They squelch fact-based sex education. They don't teach queer history, which means nobody learns about hate crimes. On another video, I mentioned I had asked 200 people in the month of June why we celebrate Pride Month in June and who was Matthew Shepard. Only one straight and one gay gentleman could tell me the answer, the correct answer. Everyone else had little to no queer history education, which is extremely troubling. If people in their own community don't know their history, how do they expect people who aren't in that group to know their history? It's hard enough to teach Black history in school, let alone fighting for queer history to be taught. And as long as churches erase through not having inclusion in their library books, textbooks, education, Sunday school, and as long as everything in that environment doesn't talk at all or talks very negatively about non-white heterosexual people, we're going to see a lot more erasure. And some churches do it on purpose. Other churches believe it's trying to harm kids. Isolating and not teaching your kids does more damage than teaching them about the realities of racism. And Christianity and racism seem to go hand in hand. When the denominations I was in are like 99, almost 100% white, you kind of get the idea that there's some silent racism going on. Some Christians believe that slavery was never condemned in the Bible. They're correct. There is misinterpretations of the Bible. Some people believe that the curse of Ham in Genesis is what caused the African American people to become enslaved. Historical complicity of some Christian individuals and institutions. Some Christian leaders and denominations in the U.S. historically defended slavery and segregation based on racist ideologies and interpretations of the Bible. Examples include the curse of Ham to justify the enslavement of African American people. The concept of colorblindness. Some Christians have historically advocated for colorblindness, which, while appearing benign, has been criticized as a strategy to overlook, ignore, or gaslight structural racism and make race an individual issue rather than addressing systematic inequalities. So what are some counter-arguments? Some Christians believe in biblical teachings that emphasize equality and love, Christian activism against racism, and modern Christian denouncements of racism. However, when you grow up in the Southern Baptist Church and you realize they didn't condemn slavery until 1995, you kind of get the idea that some of them are pretty late to the ballgame. And from now to when slavery became a thing was about 400 years ago. Between the Christian movement back in the 60s or even before that supported segregation, white supremacy. These were backed by wildly racist Christian ideology. Jim Crow laws. This ideology was used back during atrocities such as lynching. Church bombings and violent response to the civil rights movement was another issue.